Are there any questions?
Basically, I'm fascinated. I'm just mesmerized by the information and the fact that we have people that are trying to cover it up.
Right.
I'm going, what happened to the human mind? Why would you do that?
Right, and they've been covering it up for decades, and I knew that. And what we've lived through the last 2 years, it's in the medical field too.
Yes.
And I talk about that on my other channel. And so who was it? Frederick Douglass, I think. If you go into my YouTube or my Rumble channel, it's right at the top. And it said, censoring somebody's freedom to speak is a double wrong because it violates the speaker to say it, and it violates the hearer, the listener, to hear it. And we need to hear this stuff. And typically, if you can't defeat an argument, you're just left with censorship. And that's what we've got with creation. That's what we've got with medical doctors. In California, Gavin Newsom, he just signed a law saying that if a doctor says something contrary to what the government says, they can lose their license. And so now there's no more second opinions in California. Well, it's going to start January 1st, and there's some doctors stepping up to the plate to say and to sue them, because we need, I just oppose censorship everywhere. And we need to stand up together. Tyranny, if you violate somebody's right, it's a threat everywhere. And we need to stand together. I go to St. Cloud State sometimes and I'll ask, what would you have done in Nazi Germany? A, resist, B, comply, C, turn in your neighbors, D, enforce the orders. And I talk to the students. And a lot of times they say, I'd resist. And I said, well, so you would stand up for people whose rights are being violated? And they said, yeah. And I said, well, last summer the nurses were getting their rights trampled. They were getting fired if they didn't get the shot, and they had a protest. Were you at the protest? And some of them didn't know about it, but I think we do have to stand together. What Ben Franklin say, we have to hang together or we're going to hang separately, But anyhow, that's kind of a tangent. Blaine.
Yeah, well, just kind of on what he said, I'd seen this deal on Chernobyl. Of course, I'm a nuclear.
Yeah.
So one of the guys that was at the end of the explanation was saying, every lie we tell incurs a debt to the truth.
Yep.
Sooner or later, that debt will be paid.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And the scientists that are knuckling under and saying, oh, yeah, we found soft tissue, but we can't figure out how it got to be 75 billion years old or
right.
billion years old.
Right.
That debt will have to be paid, but eventually the truth will come out.
Right. Yeah, because if you get rid of the creator, we don't have any God-given rights. So now the biggest authority is the government, and that's typically when Russia or communists take over a country. They don't really teach communism, they teach evolution, and you get rid of God. And so we need to, again, stand up for God. And again, if anybody wants some more of this information, just grab a card and email me, and I'll send you some of that stuff. Let's see. If you want to see some of Mark Armitage has written a couple of books, and he hands them out for free. You can see the pictures in there. And I got a couple of extra ones there. If anybody wants to take them, feel free. But they're not to sit on a shelf. They're to be passed around. And so, and then there's his Mark Armitage's. He's got a paper in here also. But again, yeah, I think it's a battle of information. We need to get informed and inform others. And the stakes are high. Because if we can make that foundation of evolution crumble, those powerful evolutionists, don't have as much to stand on anymore. So, any other questions?
Behind the smokescreen of preparing students for the new industrial economy, early progressives had political control in mind. America's original schools didn't just make kids memorize facts or learn skills. They taught them to think freely and arrive at wisdom. They assigned the classics, inspired love of God and country, and raised future citizens who changed the world forever. Today, after 16,000 hours of K-12 indoctrination, our kids come out of government schools hating America. They roll their eyes at religion and disdain our history. We spend more money on education than ever, but kids can barely read and write, let alone reason with discernment. Western culture's on the ropes. Kids are bored and aimless, flailing for purpose in a system that says racial and gender identity are everything. Fascinating book.
Yeah.
About the cultural Marxism and how, it influenced our education system and so on.